Seahawks fans, listen up! Something absolutely explosive just dropped regarding our defense, and it is going to change everything for the upcoming game against the Panthers. I am talking about a massive disciplinary decision from the NFL offices that just landed on my desk. Our star linebacker, a guy who has been bringing the heat all season, was involved in a controversial moment during that electric win over our divisional rivals, and the league has made its final call. This is high-stakes football, folks. Before I reveal the details of this shocker, do me a huge favor. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for the fastest Seahawks updates on the planet, and drop your name and city in the comments below right now. I want to know where the 12s are representing from. Let's get into the heat of this battle. This is Adam Schefter reporting on a developing situation in the Pacific Northwest. The NFL has officially finalized its disciplinary action following a chaotic Thursday night matchup between the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams. While the Seahawks emerged victorious in a 38-37 overtime thriller, the fallout from the game has resulted in a significant loss for their defensive rotation. I am reporting that the NFL has upheld the one-game suspension for Seattle's linebacker Derek Hall. This decision comes after a thorough appeal process initiated by Hall and the Seattle's organization. The suspension stems from an incident in the first quarter of the Week 15 game where Hall was cited for unnecessary roughness and unsportsmanlike conduct. Specifically, the league determined that Hall unnecessarily stepped on the leg of Rams guard Kevin Dotson while Dotson was on the ground at the conclusion of a play. Despite Hall's attempt to overturn the ruling, the league's Office for Player Discipline maintained that the act violated established safety protocols. As a result, Derek Hall will be officially sidelined for the upcoming December 28th matchup against the Carolina Panthers. He is eligible to return to the active roster on Monday, December 29th. From a tactical perspective, this is a blow to Mike Macdonald's defensive front. Hall has been a consistent contributor in his second year, providing crucial depth and pass-rushing intensity. When we look at the numbers, Hall has been part of a defensive unit that has helped propel Seattle to a 12-3 record. This record currently puts them a full game ahead of both the Rams and the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC West. The victory over the Rams was statistically significant, as it guaranteed Seattle a spot in the postseason and significantly bolstered their path toward the NFC's #1 seed. However, the defense did struggle in the Week 15 shootout. Allowing 37 points is not the standard Mike Macdonald expects. In that game, quarterback Sam Darnold was the hero, despite his own humble assessment of his performance. Darnold finished 22 of 34 for 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, but his poise in overtime was what ultimately secured the win. Macdonald has been vocal about his support for Darnold, calling him an ultimate competitor, and noting that the team's internal belief in him has never wavered, regardless of external narratives. Analyzing the impact of Hall's absence, we have to look at the next man up philosophy. With Hall out, expect to see an increased workload for players like Boye Mafe, and perhaps a heavier rotation for Uchenna Nwosu, or even rookie depth pieces. The Panthers might not have the record of the Rams, but in the NFL, losing a primary edge presence creates a ripple effect in how a defensive coordinator can disguise blitzes and coverages. Hall's absence also has financial ramifications. A one-game suspension without pay results in a loss of a significant portion of his base salary for the 2025 season, which is a standard procedure under the collective bargaining agreement. Historically, the NFL has been tightening the leash on extracurricular contact. We have seen similar suspensions in the past for stepping or stomping incidents, notably cases involving Ndamukong Suh earlier in his career. The league is sending a clear message that player safety, especially with players already on the ground, is non-negotiable. For Hall, this is a learning moment in an otherwise promising season. He has shown flashes of being a cornerstone for this defense, but discipline remains a key metric for Coach Macdonald, who came from a Baltimore system that prizes playing to the whistle but not past it. Looking ahead to the Panthers game, the Seahawks are 12-3. A win against Carolina would move them to 13-3 and potentially clinch that first-round bye depending on how the Detroit Lions and Philadelphia Eagles fare in their respective matchups. The stakes are incredibly high. If Seattle loses this game due to a lapse in defensive depth, the narrative will shift toward their lack of discipline. I spoke with sources close to the team who indicate that while the organization is disappointed with the upholding of the suspension, they are already moving forward. Macdonald's focus is entirely on the Panthers. Sam Darnold mentioned after the Rams game that the team has a lot of work to do, and that humble approach is permeating the locker room. They aren't celebrating the 12-3 record yet because the job isn't finished. The Seattle's defense will need to find a way to replace Hall's 25-30 snaps per game. In a season where the margins are this thin, as evidenced by a 1-point overtime win, every single snap counts. In terms of the salary cap, this suspension provides a minor amount of cap savings as the game check is forfeited, but that is cold comfort for a team trying to secure home field advantage throughout the playoffs. The atmosphere in Seattle remains electric, but this suspension serves as a stark reminder that the NFL's eyes are always watching. Hall will have to watch from the sidelines as his teammates try to reach the 13-win mark for the first time in several seasons. The Seahawks' trajectory is still coining up. They have one of the most resilient rosters in the league. Mike Macdonald has transformed the culture in record time, and Sam Darnold is playing the best football of his career, silencing critics who labeled him a bust years ago. The synergy between the offense and defense has been the story of the year. While Hall's actions were regrettable, the team believes they have the depth to overcome it. We also need to consider the long-term roster implications. Derek Hall is a young player the Seahawks view as a long-term asset. How he responds to this adversity, coming back from a suspension with improved discipline, will tell the front office a lot about his maturity. In a league where availability is the best ability, missing a crucial December game is a tough pill to swallow.
To recap the situation, the Seahawks will face the Carolina Panthers without linebacker Derek Hall after the league denied his appeal for a one-game suspension. The team sits at 12-3, leading the NFC West and hunting for the top seed. Sam Darnold continues to lead the offense with grit, and Mike McDonald continues to preach a philosophy of constant improvement. The road to the Super Bowl through the NFC very well might go through Seattle, but they must first navigate this disciplinary hurdle and prove their depth against the Panthers. This is a story of a team reaching for greatness while grappling with the growing pains of a young, aggressive roster. Stay tuned as we monitor the Seahawks practice reports to see how the defensive rotation shakes out in Hall's absence. This has been Adam Schefter with the latest on the Seattle Seahawks.